Welcome back to Underworld Unveiled. Today we're diving into the horrifying case of Heather Presti, a serial killer nurse who ended her patients' suffering by murdering them. Join us as we uncover the gruesome details of her murders. Prepare for a journey into the mind of a true monster. This is a story you won't want to miss. Heather Presti is a 41-year-old former registered nurse from Natrona Heights, Pennsylvania. There isn't a ton of information out there about who Heather Presti is, but a search warrant for her cell phone finally showed us a little bit more about her. Investigators found that she had a deep obsession with death and murder. Text messages, videos, and Google searches all revealed this. Her text thread with her mother showed us the most. On 3 separate occasions, she threatened to kill a man at a Taco Bell, the pizza delivery man, and a man from Arby's. Of course, this could be nothing, possibly just frustration. But it becomes more concerning when she texted her mom, "I can't with this lady, she's going to get pillow therapy," joking about suffocating one of her patients. Another text message said, "I'm gonna murder already." This was dated June 10th, 2022. And on September 2nd, 2022, Presti texted her mother that she was gonna murder my aides. In a message a few days later, she complained about a patient who was yelling, saying, "I drugged him already and I don't know how he is awake." Other nurses tell police that she religiously said that some patients just needed to die. She even texted her mother about her coworker saying, "This nurse may die today." She made a Facebook post saying, "May kill a doctor today." She seems like she might have had a short fuse and felt very confident telling the world or anyone who would listen about her murderous fantasies. She attended Community College of Allegheny County, but she never did get a degree. She went on to work 14 years as a veterinary technician at the Pittsburgh Veterinary Specialty and Emergency Center. She told police that she provided critical care to animals, including anesthesia, and practiced euthanasia. She went back to college in 2016 and received her nursing degree in May of 2018. She worked at 11 different healthcare facilities in Pennsylvania from 2018 until her arrest in 2023. At each of them, she was disciplined and reprimanded for abusive behavior towards not only patients but also staff members. This is why she had resigned from each location. From the evidence, it showed her murders happened in 5 of the facilities, but who truly knows if there were more victims in the other facilities? She was employed at Was Concordia at Rebecca Residences in West Deer, lasting 6 months. Then she was employed by Bel Air Healthcare and Rehabilitation in Lower Borough for 10 months, then Quality Life Services Chicora for 6 months, Premier Armstrong Rehabilitation and Nursing Center in Kittanning for just 1 month, and lastly Sunnyview Rehabilitation and Nursing Center in Butler from January 2023 to May 2023. This is when she was arrested and accused of killing 2 patients and attempting to kill a third by intentionally administering excessive amounts of insulin. You might be wondering, how was she even able to do these things at work? Heather would typically work the overnight shifts, and Heather used this to her advantage. She would wait until they were low-staffed and when the floor was quiet, and that's when she would go into the rooms of the patients that she was in care of, and she would inject them with synthetic insulin. She had a structured and well-thought-out plan that she followed for each of her victims. She took steps to ensure that not only would she harm them, but that she would kill them for each of her victims. She typically started out with 60 units of insulin, and if that didn't work, she'd just add another 60 units. Or she would create an air embolism, which is basically when air gets into a vein or an artery. Heather Presti was able to go from one facility to the next facility through 11 different facilities, continuing to kill her patients, and nobody was noticing anything. But here's the thing, her coworkers did notice, and they reported her multiple times. But of course, the hospitals and the medical facilities failed those victims every time. There were co-workers at all 5 of those medical facilities that reported their concerns, filed complaints against this nurse, and they reported to administrators, and still nothing happened. A physician went to the Department of Health in 2022 with his concerns of her harming and killing patients, and again it was ignored. Finally, after many complaints, she was suspended so that the medical facility could conduct an investigation. But unfortunately, their investigation found that there was no identifiable evidence uncovered to support the claims of her co-workers. After this, she just continued back to work like nothing happened, and her co-workers said that she religiously said that her patients just needed to die. Heather's patients had high steroid use, and giving insulin to a person who doesn't need it, and especially at the volume she was giving them, could be deadly, and she knew that. She's been linked to or confessed to the following. On August 9, 2021, a 58-year-old woman died. She was not an insulin-dependent diabetic, but she was admitted to the hospital for low blood sugar after being found unresponsive. When she returned to Bel Air Healthcare, the facility that Heather was working at during this time, she was showing no signs of low blood sugar and was then found dead the next day. Heather admitted to giving the patient 60 units of insulin within 2 hours of her death. She told the police the patient looked like a wounded, helpless animal and she needed to do something. On September 28, 2021, a 68-year-old non-diabetic woman died while under the direct care of Heather. She told the police she gave the patient 100 units of short-acting insulin because she was unable to breathe. The woman died 3 hours after the injection. On November 16, 2021, a 79-year-old man died after receiving 100 units of insulin from Heather Presti. The man was not diabetic. Then on December 28, 2021, a 92-year-old non-diabetic woman died only 2 days after an LPN documented her as pleasant and fully oriented. Heather, who was assigned to the patient's care on December 27th, admitted to giving the patient 60 units of insulin. On February 24, 2022, an 88-year-old man was suffering from a hypoglycemic incident but did not die. He was sent to the hospital where a doctor concluded insulin was administered to the non-diabetic. Heather told the police she gave the man 100 units of insulin. The man unfortunately died several months later. On May 20, 2022, an 83-year-old woman who was not a diabetic was hospitalized for severe low blood sugar. The woman survived the incident and Heather Presti admitted to investigators that she injected the woman with insulin. August 6, 2022, a 92-year-old man who was not diabetic died after receiving 60 units of insulin from Heather during a seizure. November 6, 2022, a 99-year-old non-diabetic woman died after again receiving 60 units of insulin from Heather Presti. December 18, 2022, a 90-year-old woman died. Heather Presti noted that the patient was having episodes of sleep apnea, but did not alert doctors or provide intervention. Heather admitted to giving 60 units of insulin to the patient before she died on December 27, 2022. An 85-year-old woman was taken to the hospital with sluggish speech and a high temperature, which is a symptom of hypoglycemia. Heather admitted to giving the patient, who was not diabetic, 60 units of insulin on the day she was taken to the hospital. The woman luckily survived. On January 21, 2023, an 80-year-old woman died after being in the direct care of Heather Presti. She stated she gave the diabetic 60 units of insulin, apparently to keep the patient's oxygen levels up. On March 21, 2023, an 104-year-old woman who was not diabetic died, right after other staff indicated that she was doing well and was able to walk to the bathroom. Heather, according to co-workers, called the patient disgusting and asked, "When is she going to die?" Heather admitted to giving this patient 60 units of insulin. March 24, 2023, a 78-year-old woman died after suffering respiratory issues. Heather told the police she gave the patient 60 units of insulin, and when the patient did not die, she gave her another 60 units the next day. March 25th, a 90-year-old man died under direct care of Heather Presti. Heather admitted to giving him excess amount of long-acting insulin, and when that didn't work, she gave 210 ml, flushing it to the patient's port in order to cause an embolism, which led to death. On April 17, 2023, an 82-year-old woman who was a non-insulin dependent diabetic and suffering from cancer was being discharged to die at home with her family. A staff member told police that on the morning of the woman's death, Heather Presti said that the patient needed to die. Her final victim was on May 1, 2023, a 43-year-old man died. Heather admitted to giving the man more insulin than he should have received. One of the nurses who was taking care of one of Heather Presti's victims before passing said, the nurse was talking to the patient, telling him how much she loved him, and she wanted him to take care of himself because she wanted to see him again. Heather allegedly heard this conversation and found it disturbing. The next day, that man died in the care of Heather. And she doesn't stop there. She went to that same nurse, gave her a slap on the back while saying, "I'm so sorry to hear that patient died. At least you got to say your final goodbyes." In May 2023, Heather was arrested. Attorney General Michelle Henry added an additional 19 other victims to the case, with Heather fully admitting to those 19 other victims. She was then charged with 3 counts of murder in the first degree and 19 additional counts of attempted murder. Heather Presti pled guilty on all counts. The murders in which she ultimately pled guilty to were of James Bartow, Gerald Schrum, and Nicholas Symbol. May 2, 2024, Heather Presti was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences for the first-degree murder charges and 380 to 760 additional years for criminal intent to commit murder. She is incarcerated at State Correctional Institution, Muncie. Now, this was a heart-wrenching case. We couldn't imagine the loss these families are feeling, and as we honor Respect and remember those 19 victims that were taken from this world. We send our deepest condolences to all of the family members that lost loved ones by this woman's horrific actions. Thanks for joining us on this exploration into the shadows here at Underworld Unveiled. If you enjoyed the content, please give us a like and subscribe for more chilling true crime stories. We want to hear from you, so drop a comment below with any cases you'd like us to investigate next. Your suggestions help shape our future content. Until next time, stay curious and keep your eyes open as we unveil more mysteries from the underworld.